Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Beauty School Bobbi podcast. Today, I have such a special guest on the podcast, my friend, Jack Howard. I actually met Jack after interviewing him backstage at the Global Image Awards at America's Beauty Show. Jack and I had an instant connection. His energy is so special and so magnetic. And he's somebody that is a true leader in the beauty industry. He's been in the beauty industry for over 43 years. He is a new salon owner, but he's been working as a platform artist with L'Oreal Professional. And he talks to us about the beauty industry state that is in right now versus what the beauty industry has been, and really gave good advice about how to stay positive in the industry, how to have a long career in the beauty industry. And we also talk about having a circle around you during these times and why it's so important to make sure that you have a good core group of people around you to support you while you're chasing your dreams. So this episode is so great. I hope you love it. Hey, Jack Howard.
Hey, Bobbi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here today. I have so much that I want to talk to you about. I know that you have been in the industry for a long time and you are coming back full circle to a special place in your life. So I want to talk to you about what that's been like. But let's get started by talking about how you came into the beauty industry.
Okay. So I've been in the beauty industry 43 years. I think it's 44 years this year, actually. I'm starting to lose count. I started when I was 16. Like a lot of people, I had a difficult upbringing. I left home at 16. I got kicked out. And in those days, it was working in an office, get a trade, work in a shop, none of which, there's nothing wrong with any of them. But I was like, oh, hairdressing, maybe that'll be it. And that's how it started for me. I'd been a Saturday boy shampooing hair and making coffee and doing the lunch runs. And it was something that I was sort of familiar with. But never did I think that it would have taken me on this journey, which is amazing.
Yeah. So when you were starting out thinking about what the industry looked like, I know you ended up coming to America where things are a little bit different. So talk to me about what those differences were once you got here and what changed for you as a hairdresser at that time.
So I'd always been busy in England. I had a full column. I was a generalist. I did everything. So I cut and colored and all of that. But I never felt like I didn't get the buzz and understand it. I mean, I worked in a salon, I knew some hairdressers, and then I sort of, lived my life. And when I got offered this role in the US as a colorist, I came to this salon in Washington, DC, and I'd never seen anything like it. It was so busy. It was just packed to the gills with women getting their hair done and it was the Americanization of me, which has really changed the trajectory of my career. And I'm so proud of that. And I always speak to it, that I was shown how to work smarter, how faster, how to understand money properly, how to, increase your bills, all of those things, and provide service. And so when I went back I was here for 17 years the first time. And when I went back to the UK, I took that Americanization of me with me. And it just like, whoa, it was great.
What was the reception when you went back? Was everybody like, what happened to Jack? What is going on? What did he learn? Were they feeding off of that? Or were there like haters a little bit of like, you had gone away and now you're back? What was that like?
There was this piece where it was like, oh, you're so American. And I was like, and what's wrong with that? And I think that everyone's like, oh no, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, let's find a solution, which is like an American way to me, right? And so it's like, oh no, you can't do that. And no, we can't do that. And we can't do that. And I'm like, but why not? Let's do it. Let's make it happen, which is that American vibe that I had. And I did giggle because everyone's like, oh, you're so commercial. And there was this slight snobbery within the industry about elevated platform artists and commercial hairdressers who work behind the chair. And we have to remember that was like 2009, 2010. So it's quite a long time ago. And of course, now with Instagram and social media, the behind the chair stylist is very elevated, has tons of exposure. But at that point, nobody in the UK was really talking or had a platform to speak to the commercial piece, the like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what works for me, this is what I do behind the chair. And so there was lots of opportunity.
Was there like a different relationship between the clients at that time as well? I mean, I think coming to America, I can imagine that it was a lot more of the client, the guest, the person in your chair. Did it matter a little bit more than it did in the UK? Was there a little more like, we've got to make sure we're giving them what they want, or what was that like?
So I think that in the US, the thing I learned was the language was different. The language the guest used. I remember my first client, Laurie, and she's still a client today, she said to me, I want my hair to sparkle. I'm like, well, what does that mean? I was so British, what does that mean? And it was sort of, and I'm like, oh, actually, I know what it means now. I can envisage what sparkly hair means. But at that point, I was like, oh, I don't understand that. And there's always been this blonder conversation in the US versus the UK. And I found that American women seemed to me, and maybe specific to my market, but always seemed to me to be more willing to spend money if they got what they wanted or what they didn't know they wanted, but they loved. Whereas there's this sort of English thing that it wasn't a necessity, it was more of a luxury. Whereas I found my American clients, they wanted the manicure, they wanted the pedicure, they wanted the brows done, they wanted the highlights, they were happy to rebook all the time. And so it was like chalk and cheese to me. So I found that interesting. And I love the fact that I can navigate both, and that now I can talk to, there's a sort of a London vibe, and there's a East Coast vibe, and then there's a Midwest vibe, and then there's an LA vibe, and, there's a Parisian color tone because I worked in Paris. And so each area, although we're all open to Insta, each area has a nuance. And it's like, if you can tap into that nuance and understand it, it's good.
Yeah, it's a rare quality, though, to be able to chameleon away around like that. I think it's special to you for sure, and speaks a lot to your success that you're able to be so relatable in so many different places and to still know what you're talking about, because you're a L'Oreal Pro color artist in the UK and the US. It was obviously important for you to keep both of those places.
Yes.
To be able to teach in both those places. It seems like you're not one or the other. You're like, I'm going to do both. That's who you are.
So when I first moved back to the US in 2020, I was the global Blonde Me ambassador for Schwarzkopf. It was a role that I'd been offered, I'd taken, and it had been amazing to be part of a global role. It was also in some ways isolating because there aren't many global ambassadors out there. So it's like, who do you talk to about your problems? Your work problems or your work things, but you sort of find people. But when I moved to the US, I obviously wanted to keep my English heritage because I think it serves me well, but I also wanted to expand on my American journey. And so I took the role with L'Oreal Professional in the USA as an ambassador, which is great for me because it means I get to travel around the US. I get to have a finger on the pulse, maybe. I get to see what's going on, and I can take that back to the UK and talk about it. And I'd worked very hard in the UK, and I'd successfully gone from zero anything to very, very successful. And I wanted to maintain that market. And so I was also offered a UK role. I wasn't so bothered about the global piece because there's only so much travel you can do. And, if I go to the UK, I see friends, I see people I know and love. I see my dad. I get to do good work. I can go and work in a salon for a couple of days. And then I did the brunette campaign in October, which was fantastic. So it's fun for me to get those two. Then they're both my key markets. Obviously DC's home. It was my home for 17 years, and we went back to England, but I never fully fitted back in the UK. I was Americanized, and I'm always going to be foreign here because of my accent, but I feel much more American than I do British in many ways.
Yeah, I think even being from America, I think a lot of people can relate to that. I think that there's definitely like when you move anywhere in the country, there's that piece of you, no matter where you grow up, that I think certain people really foster and hold on to. I think
Mm.
even when I look at my family, we've all kind of let go of where we grew up a little bit in different ways, but it's still so much a part of us, that even in that way, I think it's so important to stay true to yourself, especially in this industry. I think that it's important to have that connection still. So I love that you've kept that. I think it's so sweet.
Authenticity is so important in life. And in
Mhm.
this industry, it's easy to say, I want to be like that artist or I want to be like that artist, but you can never be that person. What you can fulfill is a well-rounded self.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I'm very proud that I'm British, but I'm also very proud of my American story. I love my American life. I sit in my car and I'm driving on the motorway and I'm just like, I'm the luckiest boy in the world, even though I'm no longer a boy, you know? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, it's such a beautiful city. It's such a
Yes.
beautiful city and it's such a beautiful country that I am very happy.
Yeah. No, you ending up back here. How has
Mm.
that transition been? How long have you been back in DC officially? And I know I want to talk about a big project that's happening in DC, but how has your time back been?
So I've been back 4 years.
Okay.
Um, 2 years into it was some really difficult personal stuff. My partner died unexpectedly. And, you know, my world stopped. Basically, we've been together 22 years. So it was a long time. And I was like, what do you do? And I couldn't, I carried on doing my big jobs. I didn't do clients for 4 months. I couldn't face the idea of sitting there and somebody sort of, I don't know, I felt like there were people that were sort of buying into my, not my misery, but my grief. And I didn't want to be that vulnerable. And that's hard. And I was fortunate that I didn't have to do that. I was also fortunate I didn't have kids, you know, that I had to turn up for every day. I could just roll out of bed, go to the gym and get on with it. But you know, life, you have to get on with life and, or you get defined by the moment. And I didn't want to be defined by his death, although I love him dearly. So this January, I moved out of my house and I decided to have it renovated and I'd waited long enough time. And the hysterical, brilliant, the woo woo, as we might call it, is that the business that I learned my American experience at in 1993 came to me and said, do you want to buy this business? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I'm like, why not? When is the right time? And so the idea that I could bring all those experiences from working in Paris, from having a residency in the Middle East to working in London, all and back in DC too, the bringing together all the stuff I liked and trying to iron out all the things that slightly annoyed me and grow a team and have this amazingly huge space. It's 22 chairs and 8 shampoo bowls over
Wow.
3 floors. It's huge.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
coming back to that and walking in
Yeah.
again, it felt right. It felt like home, like what was meant to be for you.
So I've always loved that space. I think probably because it was sort of a magical time in my career where I really grew as a hairdresser. I loved the space. I was fond of some of the people that worked there. My business partner has been there for like 40 odd years. But it was a place that had its peak. I was there definitely at its peak. And it had slowly, as the owners had got older, it was slowly on the fade, right? And so it was the idea to rebrand, to relaunch, to re-energize, and to give the team a place to grow. I think it's important whether you be 18 or 43 or 59 like me, that there's still opportunity to grow however you want and to lead that and to be a good leader and to bring it all together. And so out of immense sadness, there's this amazing moment in my career for me. And I'm like, wow, you're doing this now. It's like, whoa, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, maybe not like in the plan. And I think that is something that I think you have a unique perspective on. And you shared on social media, kind of these things, but coming into the industry new and just being like, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do, and blah, blah, blah. it just, we know of being older and what age gives us is the idea that like things are not going to always end up the way that you've planned them to end up. But what makes a successful career is being able to pivot, not being
Yes.
like, I only do one thing one way and I'm only going to be a platform artist and I'm only going to be this and I will only teach at this show. And I will like, you have to be open to walking through the doors that are opening for you, number one, even when it's terrifying, even when it's,
Mm.
I can't believe I'm back in this space. I can't, like, you have to be open to those things in order to be able to stay in this industry 43 years. Because people want to talk about how you can't stay in the industry and you're going to get burnt out and whatever. But I don't
No,
think that's true.
I don't think it's true. I think so. Two things in that, Bobby, and like we could talk about this for hours. So one is that you have to stay relevant, and the way in which my career has lasted so long is that I keep my language modern. I make sure that I'm up on what's happening, with younger people. I love having my older clients. I love having clients my age, but I also want to make sure that I've got new people coming in so that and as a platform artist, it's important that I work behind a chair so that I can speak with authenticity and honesty about what is going on rather than just what a brand says is going on.
Okay, I love that. We need to clip that. That is like, I love that. I think somebody needs to say that and say it louder. Like you have
Mm,
to stay in it. Too many people are just chasing the stage and the awards and the whatever, and they're not staying behind the chair. So I love that piece
mm.
right there.
Because my platform artistry is based on commerciality, it's based on technique, it's technique driven, how you can work better, how you can work smarter. I have to be behind the chair. Otherwise, I'm talking nonsense. I'm talking stuff that's 5 years ago. But when I first got the opportunity to be a platform artist, and it was before social media, it was at a convention in North Carolina, maybe, and it was downstairs in a basement, and there was a silk box, a silk scarf over a box with some product, a little stage, and I was terrified. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And somebody had said to me, "You've got to say this, 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 and this." And I said, "I can't say that. I don't believe that." And they said, "Well, what do you believe?" And I said, "Well, I believe that if you do this, you can do this, this, and this." And they're like, "Well, you're a salon successful colorist." And that has been my mantra all the way through. I'm a salon successful colorist. Therefore, I'm going to show you what works for me, how it's helped me. Doesn't mean to say you've got to do it like that, but this is what I do. Not this is
Mhm.
what you've got to do. Or this is what I thought up in my box room of an office. This is what I did on social for views. This is what I do to make money. That's where I sit with that.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think again, like I'm watching the change in the industry as I know that you are as well, and seeing the shifts and seeing, where things are going to land. And I just can't help but think that the consistency of showing up and it's not that like the stage work that you've done or the part of your career that was that time isn't important or it doesn't matter. It made you who you are right now. And that's what I
Mm.
think that the younger stylists need to remember is that all of those things are amazing opportunities. And I want all of the students that we have at our school and everything to take every opportunity that is for them, because I truly believe that not every opportunity is for you. Um,
But you
but go
don't know until you do it.
right.
You don't know till you tried. If you just say no to it based on fear, and there's been
Hmm.
lots of fear about taking steps in my life, you're not going to get anywhere. But
Hmm.
if there's something that sparks your curiosity, or if the fear is based on like not that you know how to do it, but the fear is of failing, then
Hmm.
have give a go because you've got to step through, like you say, and you've got to fail to get better. It
Yeah.
can't all be a win. Um, but they said that about me too, right? They said somebody in London said that I was a dinosaur, and they were doing it to try and kind of like push me down. But it was like I was a dinosaur, and I was too old. And I'm like, I'm not too old. I can do digital as good as the next person along with me. You have to learn. You have to be open. You have to be willing to be semi-vulnerable to failure in it
Hmm.
to grow, and that's a huge important thing.
You know what I think it is about you too? And I know like I don't know, again, so much of our relationship is like online or whatever, but the
Mm,
times that we've met to connect, the thing that I think is so different about you is that you have such an energy about you. Like you walk into a room and like you have an energy, which is amazing. Like it's an amazing energy, it's a calming energy, but you are not one of those people that you meet that are on stage. When I first met you, you were coming off the stage of Global Image Awards, right? Which
yes.
is they don't ask just anyone to do that. They don't ask just anyone to present. Like you are someone in this industry when you get to present there and you get to be
Mm,
part of that. You never came across like you were somebody there. You know, you're very warm and you're so relatable in what you're doing and you share so much of your life. And I think that that is what we need more of. I think that authenticity of, you know, this is who I am, this is how I show up. And guess what? This was a hard day. And guess what? I failed here, or I'm struggling here, or I'm that like, we just need so much more of that because what I see in people that are even in high school cosmetology, right? Like even so young, babies in the industry, is that they really want what they see on social media.
yes. Yeah.
That's what they want. And like, I think it's our job as people that have been in the industry for a while to not just be like, oh, they don't know. They don't know. We got to just not give them attention. Let them like, no, that's who we have to pour into. That's who we
Mm,
have to make sure understands how to have a successful career in the industry, or we are going to go backwards to at least what I've heard the beauty industry was, you know, 30 years ago, 50 years ago here, you know, it's Steel Magnolias, which don't get me wrong, I love
I
Steel
love that film,
Magnolias
though. I love that film.
so much, but we've escalated so far into being like a actual reputable industry. Like nobody's embarrassed now to say that they do hair. People know how much money can be made now and what opportunities are there. And it's a real business. It's a real job. Like I hear that
Yes.
all the time. And so I don't want to go backwards, but I think unless we put in the effort, right? People like you that have been in the industry, you have so much knowledge. Unless we stay, you know, we stay reachable in the sense that they're able to connect with you still, and that that's who can come learn from you. I think that's how we keep the industry another 50 years going strong, another 60 years, is for them to really understand the reality of it. And I'm thankful that you do that.
Thank you. There's a lot to unpack in that. The first thing I would say is that it's always such a privilege or an honor that somebody would even ask me to present an award or judge something. And when you're judging awards, it's like, oh my goodness, it's like, how do you judge somebody else's work?
Mm.
That's a hard one. And so I'm always very appreciative and also full of gratitude about those opportunities. And when I do a stage presentation, I just did this Ulta event, which was fantastic, but it's like there are 15 people behind the scenes making me shine, from the tech crew to the support, to the prep day, to the person that got my lunch. Everything's all done and I'm doing some work, but to shine like you do at this sort of level, there's a lot of people that you have to thank. And if you don't thank them, it's very difficult when you don't shine as bright because everyone has their moment. But staying in the moment, you've got to really realize that none of us do it on our own. From being in a salon to being a salon owner, to being a platform artist, from working in a brand, to launching a product, to your podcast, whatever it is, we just don't do it on our own. There's always people there cheering us on, supporting us, and making sure that we all end up shining bright.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, coming back into a salon, which I've never owned, it was important to me to get a apprenticeship program started. It's more like a VADA program. You come out of beauty school, great. You're licensed to practice, and I'm going to put you through this year. I'm going to get you doing models 2 days a week until your blow dries are great. Then you can blow dry clients and charge them. Then you can start working on your cuts, and then you can add that in, and then we'll work on your color and add that in. And so it's assisting, watching, learning, because you might have some of the skills from beauty school, but the actual skills of being in the salon, working with a difficult client, working with a client who doesn't know what they want, not on a mannequin head, on a hairline that's gone crazy on you, having a team around you that is invested in your growth as you are invested in them is wonderful. I want it to be a safe space. I want my young people to grow, and I want people who have been in the industry longer to still grow. And that's why I'm doing the influencer hub next year, where traveling digital educators can use my space, that my team can get to see education, because education, being surrounded by people who are positive, they're all good things for us.
Hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that? I actually have in my notes to talk about this because I think that this is something different. And I really, really like the way that you're doing it for the people that work at your salon. Like,
Mm.
how do you get your salon better? Like, bring in these people that are leading in all of the different ways, the digital way. They matter too. There's a space for them also. They might not be coming in with a brand, but they're their own brand. So tell me about what you're doing with this.
Well, I think that I see lots of people do it. I certainly did it in the UK. I went on tour and independently, and you see a lot of people who are working independently that have got great educational offerings. And I'm like, I've got this huge space, like I say, 3 floors. So like a small educator with a smaller platform can come in if they're doing something really interesting, have the space, give my team the opportunity, two of my team members to come on it, charge, make some money. Everyone's happy.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the bigger influencers, I've got another floor where they can come on and do their stuff. It's the nation's capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a big space in Georgetown. It's the nation's capital. Why don't we have more of that here? And I'm like, well, if we don't have it, there's room to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that about all of it, really. I feel like elevated services. I feel like, the way people can book online, they can check out in the chair. I can do all these things that I've wanted to do. And in my own space, I can do it. But education's the key. My team get to see what other people are doing. It can assure them that they're on the right track. They could learn something necessarily. I can use it as a competition for some like internal stuff going on. My assistants can certainly go on it because it's like, that's what they're there for, to be trained. It's like, absolutely get a place on that. And they can see how different people work. I also get to go on it, right? Because I feel like I need to see what other educators are doing. I want to connect with people. I want to see what people are doing. I'm going to learn something different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to learn maybe some different words to use, or like, I only need one little thing to change my day. And I'm like, yeah. That's amazing. I mean, you're not going to teach me the color wheel. I know it. But like, if somebody says, oh, if I do this because of this, this, and this, I'm like, dang, that's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, education's everything.
Yeah, I love that 43 years in the industry and you're not like, oh, no, I know everything. Like, you're like, no, let's learn from the people that are doing this the best. And I think that is, again, every leader, every successful person I've talked to or met, like that's the quality. I think that separates people because, like I said, there's a lot of, we've met people, we know people, and maybe some of the same people and you're just like, they're just about themselves. This is just about them,
Yes.
and where that leads. And I'm sure with you being in the industry of the song, you've seen that happen a lot. And I'm sure the note that you're taking in your brain is like, yeah, I've got to do it the other way, to stay in this. And I don't think it'd be your natural way anyways to be egocentric, but I think that it does make a difference to say I'm learning from other people. And you could be somebody again that's like, well, I teach, I do that. So why would I? No, you still have more to learn. And even if it's just one little thing, it's worth it.
It keeps me in the business.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps me relevant. It's allowed me to continually evolve. I mean, I'm not ready to stop. I've got friends. I've got some really good friends. They're like, oh, they're ready for retirement. I'm like, oh no, I think this is a little bit too young. I mean, the big ones coming up. I'm like, no, I think I'll tell them about 72, maybe just then potter in and out, do a few people. But I'm not ready. I have plans. I haven't told my story yet. It's like my story hasn't finished. I'm like, I'm going still. And as long as this body can get me out this door and in that car and up those stairs and standing doing those clients, I'm doing it.
I think it's so beautiful. And I think we're just all really lucky to have you. And I'm excited to see all of the different things that you're doing. I do want to ask you, when you look back at your career as it's been, and ups and downs, and doing different things, what is, and it could be even right now, but what is the memory that you hold that is just the happy, warm, that was, I don't even want to say the greatest time, because again, I think there's still like you're
Too many.
on, and in a journey right now, to still grow. But what is that memory that of the industry where you're like, that was the best?
Oh, I think that's hard because, it's decades worth of work. I think that can I give you a couple? I know
Yeah.
it's
What
soulful.
stands out to you when you look back? Like, what are those
Okay.
like flash moments of good?
So the first splash moment, if I look back at my career, is when I had absolutely nothing. And I was 16, 17, and a senior stylist bought me towels. And people might laugh, but I had one towel and it had holes in it. And she bought me a set of towels from a nice store and a rubber duck to put in the bathtub because there was no shower. And I've always remembered that. And I've always, when I've had assistants and they've been struggling, I've always done something. And it's like pay it back. So that stands out. The other thing that I think stands out as the real moment for me was when I think really when I went back to the UK and everyone had said to me, you're going to be nothing there, nothing's going to happen, you're going to earn £200 a week. And a lot of doors closed on me in the UK because I was too American, I was this, I was that, I was the other. And I just thought I'm gonna do this, and I was doing education workshops out of warehouses, and it was this PR agent, and she's like, "Let's work together." And her name's Sally, and we made magic. And it was like, I had no money really at the time. I had some money in the bank. I had no money coming in. And we just made magic. And I was able to recreate myself into the version that I am now. And, and just a few people that sort of believed in me when so many didn't. And yet I knew had done all of this, but they were saying I couldn't have this. And it just, Sally was is pretty amazing. And I still love it when I see her. So. Yeah.
I think that there's this idea that in order for you to be successful, or at least I remember thinking this when I was younger, of it will mean that everyone is supporting me, right? But I think
No.
what you find out is I actually wrote about this the other day about how your circle becomes smaller and smaller and smaller when you are growing and there is success that's coming, or when you're building your thing, right? Like when you're in the midst, which I think you are right now for sure, you're in the midst of something that is a dream. Like you're chasing a dream right now and you are in it, right? And there's not a lot of people that understand or get to the level of what you're doing or what we're doing or whatever. Like there's not a lot of people that chase it, right? Or they feel like they're fulfilling a purpose that you can't explain. It's just like, this is what's meant for me. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I thought that there was going to be a ton of people around me. I thought my family was going to be like screaming for us and all of this stuff. But the reality is that your circle becomes smaller because there are certain people that you need in your life at a time like this. And there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to push you through and give you energy to chase your dream and follow your dream. And so I think that, you pointing out that it was just, there's a lot of people against you. A lot of people didn't believe in you, but it just took the small few to make magic,
Make magic.
And I think if we all understood that a little earlier, I think it could help so much with the dreams we're chasing and the time that we spend on being like, well, because not everyone's supporting me, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not fulfilling my purpose.
I think the trick also is, Bobbi, is that when you do something really well and everybody wants a piece of you, wants a piece of it, and you're shining brightly in that moment and everyone's saying yes to you, be careful. Because when they blow in smoke at you, or up you or in you or however you want to phrase it, right? You've got to be cautious because in that it can go to your head. And I've watched people that just get blown up by stuff and then just fall really hard. I think that really in life, there are only a few people that really are your cheerleaders. Keep them close and cheer them on too.
Yeah, I didn't expect, things to go that way. But again, I think that there's so much of this, like at the beauty school, I'm always like, I know I'm the mom. I know you guys don't want to listen because I'm the mom and I'm so much older than you or whatever. But that is one thing I try to tell them. They want, everyone to be on their side. They want everyone to be on their team, everybody to root for them. And they think that's what's supposed to happen. but it's just not the case. And then I think one of the reasons that that happens too, or one of the things that I'm learning, is that in order for me to be who I need to get to where I want to go, or to be the purpose, the person that I want with the purpose fulfilling that I want to do, right? I have to be my own fan. And that's not something that's
Yes.
ever become naturally at all. Like, I'm my biggest critic. And I think most of us are, but learning to be confident in what you're doing, what your purpose is, why you're doing it, right? Like, it's not that you just, I mean, yes, you love doing hair and yes, you love teaching, but your purpose is to help people and
Hmm.
to continue giving back to people. And so when things get chaotic and when things start spinning, you have to just like recenter to the purpose. And, if we're not clear in that in ourselves, you can't get to the top and stay at the top, or have longevity.
Longevity is the key in any of it. There was something in this when we were talking, and I've always recognized this. There can be in a salon a one packer. They can do one thing at a time, and they're really happy doing that, and that's great.
Mhm.
And then there's somebody that can do two things at a time, and they're happy doing that. And sometimes they try and make the one packer do that, but it's like there's no need to. And then there's a three packer like me. I'll be doing all these different things. You can't have a salon of all the same people. You don't grow with all the same people. You need different things around you. And a successful salon needs people that are doing working all sorts of different ways, but are supported in it. At a beauty school, people are going to learn at different levels and at different speeds. And it doesn't have to be the one that's doing everything that's the best. Everyone's the best. Everyone has value. Everyone's worthwhile. They just do it slightly differently, and acknowledge them in that.
Yeah, no, I think that's key as well. And I think that, again, the way that young people are coming into the industry and what they're looking at, what they're watching, and what they're doing, I think it's just really important that we don't lose who built it, who has been through it, who's done it, because I think what they're seeing is new, and that's okay. It's not a negative. Like, I love my influencer friends, and I love what they're doing. We're having a
Mm,
lot of like real honest conversations behind the scenes, really talking about what this looks like, their responsibility. I mean, I have a weirdly unique experience, because when I'm talking to people that are in high school, hey, what made you want to come into this industry? Hey, who are you watching? That kind of thing, that kind of question, is very different than it was when I started at the beauty school 13 years
yes.
ago. And
Yes,
so
it would be.
it's so different. And I think that I've told, a lot of my influencer friends, like, you have a responsibility here. Like, they're watching, they're watching what you're saying, they're watching what you're doing. And don't take that lightly, even though you don't see them face to face, which, you would have, in classes that you were
Mm,
teaching, you were face to face with them. I mean, those people saw you for who you are. Yes, you can be like a certain way on stage, but they're seeing you. And
yes.
because there's a difference on social media now of being so in control of what you put out there, I think we're walking a fine line, but as long as it's the right people in that position, I think that it's okay. I don't think it's such a negative thing.
I think that one being online is can be lonely and isolating, and you see something just one way, and it's the way that's working for you. In a salon, if a team member's complaining about something, I'm like, don't come to me with a complaint and no solutions. Come to me with a complaint and two solutions. I might not have seen it that way. Let me look at it. Let's work it out together. I think that in a classroom, you get to really know what works in education and what doesn't, but you also have to be able to fit and connect with each person in the room, which can be exhausting. Whereas digitally, you don't have to do that. I see, so this is where I sound old. I see lots of people talking about, red flag clients. Red flag is really, to me, about a way in which you have to change the way you respond to something. Not that you just fire somebody immediately, but set those boundaries with
Mm-hmm.
that person. You see people talking about firing clients or, talking about money and things. It's like, who are we speaking to online? Are we trying to attract clients in, or are we trying to attract other hairdressers? It's like, what's the purpose of your digital presence? What are you doing with it? I think that it can take us down a track where clients feel threatened. And the last thing we want to do is threaten somebody that's spending their money on us, right? Because without their money, we're nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or it can elevate us, which is I hope kind of where I sit, or it can also like bring us down to back to steel magnolias, like you say, right? Or like chitting around, whatever. So there are lots of different things to look at online. They all work for different people, but it's like, is that going to work for what you want in your future life?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think the influencers are, definitely navigating a new way.
Yes.
They're navigating, okay, what do I do with this? What do we do with these? I mean, I think it's all so new. Like, I really think
Mm,
we're just at the surface of, this new way of education and this new way of, yeah, I love what you said. Who are we bringing in? Who are we trying to talk? It's one thing for me, but I'm not a negative person online. Like, I'm very, or just in general, like I really am, I think, very much try to be positive and whatever. Do I have people I vent to? Absolutely. But I
yes.
haven't, and I don't, I just couldn't see myself doing it online. That's not my thing. I think that that's a trend. I think that that's a short lived, I don't know that there's longevity in that of just complaining about what you're doing or complaining about the industry or making salons look bad or whatever. I think that there's an honesty, there's something that needed to be said, right? I think that's how this all happened, is that there were things in the industry that were happening that weren't being said,
Yes.
weren't being addressed. Like we all knew it, or people would, but there what nobody was saying it, and then maybe there was a space to say it, and then phew, man, like that, that took off.
Hmm.
But I don't, that's a trend, that's a moment in time. I don't, I don't think that that's what we're telling students that we need to be looking at and like, hey, do this
Good.
by any means. Because I do think it's short lived. But then there is the side of it that, I don't know who it was that like you were looking up to when you were coming up. And I'm sure that's changed multiple
Mm,
times. But who you were looking at, who you wanted to be like, we got to get more of that. I think we got to get more of and that is you to a lot of people. You're that person now to a lot of people. And I think there's a lot of good people in the industry that, I can list and recommend and all of that stuff. But I don't necessarily think it's only in that space.
amazing people in this industry. And the great thing about digital is that it has exposed me to more people
Hmm.
in all different places doing great things. I mean, I sometimes I'm like, what? How? Heck. Oh, let me try that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I meet someone, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And so, the negative, but there's a positive too. And so it's like, I think it's good for our industry to have access to all these opinions. I worry about the negative stuff, but I've always seen people who are complaining usually aren't working, and they're
Hmm.
usually in the staff room complaining. And I call it the room of low earners,
Hmm.
because if I'm not busy, I'm doing something on the floor. I'm
Hmm.
watching someone, I'm folding a towel. I'm like, oh, well, let's get a doll head out or something. So anyone that's just complaining, whether it be online or whether it be in the staff room, you're not going to make any money from that,
Yeah.
So figure it out.
And not everyone is going to reach that level of success. And I think that's what you were saying before, is there's people that are really good at doing just this thing or that. There's not any
Hmm.
world in which we are all following the same path. I think what gives me hope and faith, and this has stayed true for the entire time that I've been at the beauty school. And, we have around 300 students between two programs. It's a large school with just
Yes.
celebrated 95 years in business and
Whoa.
all the things. So what I keep going back to, and we say this all the time, is that the good ones, the ones that want it, the ones that are like their books will stay full even in beauty school. They will
Yeah.
do all the extra classes. They like that. I don't want to say like that's who we have to focus on, because I hate that. I'm like, we need to focus on everybody and give everybody the same shot. The good ones, the people that shine, still shine, and
Yes.
they're going to be the ones that will be the next Jack Howard or will be the next whatever, and I think that's what gives me hope, and I'm thankful that I get to see it on that level. I think beauty school is the perfect spot for me, because I constantly get reminded of like, oh yeah, this was somebody who I met in high school and now they're here doing this and now they're whatever the next step is
Mm.
for them, so that I don't get as discouraged as I think some people do about the beauty industry, because I'm
No, I
like,
don't.
yeah, I'm like, I see it. I see the good still.
one of the great things about being a brand ambassador is that you get to go into all sorts of different salons, around the country. And one of the first things I was like wowed at and was like, oh, if I ever have a salon, I'm definitely going to do that. Was that it's an industry full of women,
Mm-hmm.
dominated by men. Less so now because of the digital presence,
Mm-hmm.
which is wonderful. I went to this salon group in Pennsylvania, and these women, they're women starting at 7:30 in the morning, finishing at 2 because they're doing the school run, all on six figures, right?
Wow.
And so I was like, why don't we offer more women opportunity to stay in the industry, but also go and celebrate their kids? Because it's like, yes, working is good, you make money, but why does it have to be in the constraints of a man who doesn't have children or whose wife looks after their children?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't it be in the constraints of a woman who's got children and is the breadwinner in the family, but she wants to go and celebrate the school run? She wants to, she wants all of it. Why can't she have it? And
Mm-hmm.
when I saw that, I was like, that is why this salon group is successful. Starting early, finishing earlier, and then they've got other people working later shifts. It's like, make it work so that everyone lives the life they want,
Mm-hmm.
not the life that you want, that I want, but the life that they want. Let the team have all those things. And I'm like, dang, that's so easy. Why haven't we done that in this industry before?
Yeah. Well, I love that. I think that's the next, as salons are changing and salon ownership is changing, I think that's a great piece of advice for salon owners listening is I think everybody has to just be more adaptable. I think that's where, a lot of people within
Left.
commission salons, like, yeah, when they all left and they were like, wait a minute, we can't do this anymore and we have to pivot and that was the positive thing, I think. And you hear stories about people going back into commission salons and all of that stuff, but maybe it's because the changes happened that needed to happen. I think there was definitely something that wasn't working.
Yes,
And that's
I
why
agree.
people left.
I agree. So, I've got 3 fantastic receptionists. They're all at university. They all just finished their degrees. It's part-time jobs. They're going to leave me eventually, right? I don't want them to, but they will. And that's wonderful to watch their journey. But we've set up with, Mango Mint. I've worked with Mango Mint. I've got all this stuff set up now so that if a stylist wants to work later, I don't need a receptionist. The credit card's all on file. They can check out with the hairdresser. So people can work later. People can start earlier. It's like, let's build a space where we can all live the lives that we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I always believe that we are stronger working together than we are on our own. On our own, for me, it feels isolated. I don't feel that I can grow in that. I get wrapped up in my own head. In a space with other people who are thinking differently or seeing things differently, it's the nuances that make you grow and blossom. And so I want to create that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to see it. I seriously want to come visit the salon so bad. It looks amazing. Before we go, one last question.
Yes.
Who is somebody that you are looking up to right now that you can kind of recommend for somebody that is new in the industry that maybe they wouldn't find on their own? Obviously, you're a great example. And so if they're listening today, I'm hoping that they're going to go follow you. But who's somebody that you're watching right now?
There's a woman in Leeds in England, and she came to one of my courses many years ago. Her name's Nancy Stripe. She's on Instagram, and she started the grey blending conversation in the UK. And lots of people have jumped on it since, but she's done a magnificent job of being able to have the thought process and then to build on it to where she's got it to today. I think she's really interesting in that. And then I think Nancy's doing something different. I like that. And there's loads of people that I just follow that I'm like tuned into, but lots of them have sort of ambassador roles and they're sort of like my mates,
Mm-hmm.
So I do like the ones that pop up and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So yeah, Nancy Stripe, give her a follow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Jack. I'm so thankful for this time that we had together and just, again, feel like we could talk forever, but I can't wait to see your space. I'm so excited.
You've definitely got to come. You've definitely got to come.
Yes, for sure. And then we can follow you at Jack Howard on Instagram. Is there anywhere else?
It's all Jack Howard Color. So Jack Howard Color on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. the website, and I have a podcast. I haven't done it for a couple of years, but I have a podcast too. Same thing.
All right, awesome. Well, we
Thanks for
need
having me
to,
on.
yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. And thank you, Jack, so much for being such an amazing guest on my podcast. Make sure you follow Jack at Jack Howard Color everywhere that you can follow him on social media. And make sure you follow me at Beauty School Bobbi and follow at Beauty and Style Network so that you can make sure that you stay in the loop with everything that's going on in the beauty industry. Make sure that you follow, like, subscribe, do all the things to help this podcast. I'm so thankful for you guys, and we'll see you next time.